kids, when they're little, do PDSA all the time, and use the analogy of Lachlan learning to walk. He planned to walk. He had a quality criteria in front of him. He had the adult that was walking really well. He did the walk and he fell over and he got back up and he fell over and he got back up, and he realised that if he put his hands out like this, you know what, I've got better balance. So he tried lots of different ideas of how to walk and studied along the way, and put the hands out and realised that when his hands are down low, he's got no balance and he's going to fall on his bottom and all that sort of stuff. And then he standardised the improvement. Once he learnt to walk, he was walking and he was getting better at it all the time. And yet when we get to school, we kind of take that away from them. We say, right, we'll tell you, first of all, we won't tell you how to walk. You need to make that up as you go along. We won't tell you what the end of the journey is about. Second of all, we'll judge you on whether or not you can walk without telling you how you're going along the way. So we're not going to... And third of all, when you fall down, you might be in trouble for that. So don't bother to fall down because we don't like messy books in our classroom or something. I think that's the way learning looked in a lot of settings. And so for me, the quality philosophy is about just letting the natural learning process flow and getting rid of all of those obstacles that we place in front of it. It's our role as educators to make sure that education is the key to what we do and that learning is the key to what we do. And if you just think in terms of systems, learning is the centre. That's what we're here for every day. That's at the centre of what we do every day. So then we need to have processes and relationships in place to support the learning.
In year 1, at the start, I could do the first 3, like I can count to 10, I can count to 100, and I count backwards from 100. I could do them perfectly in grade 1, but now I can do them at home.
Capacity matrix measures the depth and breadth of learning over a period of time.
In the start of grade 1, I coloured it in light blue, and now in grade 2, I'm colouring it in dark blue and dark yellow.
You hand out a capacity matrix at the beginning so the kids then know the journey, where they need to be headed to in their journey.
You colour in that one if you could do it by yourself, and if you need help, you colour in that one.
Then along the way we do things like negotiated quality criteria and rubrics so that kids can have a short, sharp assessment of their learning.
Yes is if you got capital letters after full stops and for names, so we can check our writing, and when we grow up, we can be an author or something.
Capacity matrix will measure the depth and breadth over a period of time, where the rubric is a short, sharp assessment tool to inform the capacity matrix.
With a matrix, you get to make proof, which takes longer, but it's more fun than just sitting down reading a book instead all that time. Because if you do it yourself and try and find it out, it's a challenge, and I like a challenge.
And then we talk about things like how we're going to keep track of our learning, our portfolios. And it's funny, our portfolios is always first. And they don't seem to acknowledge all of the assessment that I do throughout the year because their portfolios are really important, as they should be. So their portfolios, things like their book graphs, their rubrics, their quality criteria, all of that sort of stuff is how they keep track of their learning.
This is my reading process, and at the start of the year, I was only at F, and the blue colour is now when I'm 8 years old, and I'm up to I.
As long as they see improvement in their learning, then that's the key. That's the only motivator you need.
The talking cycle starts out by one person talking or whispering to someone.
Kids don't necessarily understand the whole cause and effect thing of their own behaviour upon the bigger system. Systems thinking helps them to do that.
To block this, you should ignore it or move away. And if the other person hears, they'll think it's okay, and then they'll start talking.
When we introduced systems thinking and got them thinking about, the negative cycle that was creating, and that we can block parts of the cycle, it was a really proactive way for the kids to actually see their impact on the greater world around them.
But if they don't want to be distracted, they'll move away. But if the other person hears again, then they'll get distracted as well.
We first did a systems diagram as adults at my previous school in, I think the year 2000 or something like that, and we found it really difficult. But at the end of it, we gained a really good insight of the fact that it's not just us being isolated in our classrooms teaching. There are so many other factors and people that need to be considered, and relationships, and all of those sorts of things. So at around that time, I thought that's a really important thing for kids to know, because they need to see where what they're doing every day fits into the greater good, into the school or into the community. And that's why we always do a class systems diagram.
We have our learning machine so we can concentrate and learn lots of things, and we have our values. The values pour into our learning machine. The values are be happy and healthy, so we must always have a smile on our face every day at school, and we should be fit and exercised and healthy. We have our code of cooperation, and it's got lots of things that we have to do. We play it every single morning. Our processes are the 3 steps: reading groups, writing, maths, practicing, stress it, class meeting, and using the computer.
Basically, the learning machine is a way for kids to see how their footprint, I suppose, impacts on the whole class, on the whole school, and on their learning themselves.
This is our suitcase for when we were in kindy, prep and grade 1s, and we didn't know much in there, and then it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger, and when we go to grade 3 we'll have a really, really, really big suitcase, and that'll have all our learning, and we'll take it home and we'll learn even more, and we'll take it to grade 3 and we'll be really, really smart.
Kids crave routine. They want the same thing every day. It's usually the teacher who's got the headache, or the teacher who's trying to do something brand new, something innovative, that throws the processes out the windows.
In the morning, we have to line up on the concrete outside the door, and then when the music comes in, Rachelle will then opens the door so we can come in. We put our bags in the lockers, and then we put the reader covers in the middle room and the drink bottles on the reading table. The monitors put down the chairs and then sit on the floor, and you have to make a responsible choice, because then the talking cycle happens if we don't make a responsible choice. Then we watch the code of cooperation on the whiteboard. And then it's thinking time, and then the monitors do their jobs, and then it's the role process.
Callie, Shelby, Jessica, Hida, Jay, Jason, Jabal, Anina, Michelle, Rachel, Holly, Angel, Mike, Samir, and Angela, Dane, Logan,
9/10 of the problem that happen in any given day will be a process-based one. So if you don't talk about processes with the kids, how will they know what the breakdown is?
And then we do reading and writing.
Oh, Lola. Good night, Charlie. Good night, Lola. Good night, Mr. Hippopotamus.
Some people ask, how does my literacy block run the way that it runs? Because I do it every day. I do it the same every single day. I follow the process. I talk about the process. We write the process. We make the process. The second that you say, you know what, we're not going to do that process today, you've devalued it for the kids. And they won't follow it the next time. And why should they? You didn't follow it the first time. One of the writing tasks that we did last year, they had to construct a classroom process using Microsoft Photo Story. That then provided, we've got 9 or 10 beautiful little photo stories sitting on our network at any given time for kids who want to remember how to use the whiteboard, or remember how to use the thrash process. If I take it back to the meaning I give to the kids, a process is something that has steps. And if a step is broken down, then it's a process problem.
Every single time people have money, they write how much money they've got on a post-it note, and then they write their name and how much they've got, and then they put the money in and they put the post-it note in.
The other thing that happens is if you don't talk about the processes with the kids, that means you hold and are responsible for all of the processes. Now, if you're busy in your day being responsible for all the processes, when are you teaching and learning? You know, you've seen with us, we have some of the processes on DVD. We realise kids know how to use a DVD remote really easily. That's a good way to show the kids the process of how something is happening. Being inclusive with the processes, following the processes every day, making sure the inclusiveness means that the kids that need the processes have access to the processes when they need the process, and then constantly refining and looking at them. We focus on learning being at the centre, developing strong processes to support the learning, and developing strong relationships to support the learning. The thing about the Code of Cooperation is it's a Code of Cooperation for all of us. And I sign and I have to stick by the Code of Cooperation as well. As soon as you yourself as a teacher go against the Code of Cooperation, you're devaluing it in the students' eyes. So every classroom discipline decision is made with the Code of Cooperation. Class meeting decisions are made with the Code of Cooperation. And it was even a class meeting decision to start the day with a photo story of the Code of Cooperation because the kids valued it so much.
Don't act as a team, be a team.
The process for developing trust is class meetings.
Would it needs to make a money for a chat? Did she do that? And Rachelle make sure that the lab...
When we're doing class meeting, we first look at the minutes, then we tell somebody to go and get the going well. Then they give it to the person who's running the class meeting.
This has been good by Carly.
Someone brings it to me. Then I type it up. Whoever runs the class meeting asks, can they go and get the questions?
Can I bring a book from home from somewhere?
Ben, when he first started here, he'd say, so why do we do the Code of Cooperation in the morning? And, we're supposed to be starting reading. It's a class meeting decision, sorry, can't mess with that. And then something else would happen and he'd go, so why do we do this now? No, that's a class meeting decision, we have to keep that.
After we finished our class meeting, everybody puts their hands in together and we say, go team, go.
I'm not spending my day as a nanny or classroom wrangler. I'm not a child carer. I'm an educator. And teaching this way allows me to be an educator and be proud of what I do every day. When I first embarked on my quality journey, they said it's going to save you time, and I thought, yeah, right, especially when I was doing the extra training and trying to be a first year out teacher as well. And it does, if you do things right and you continue to do them right and you follow your processes and you maintain and work on relationships, it does make life easier. I had every single one of my kids meet benchmark this year. That's not an accident. It's because we worked on the processes, we monitored and managed relationships, and we made sure that learning was at the centre of what we were doing. Learning is a wondrous thing. If you can focus on that every day, when you come to work, that's fun. That's really fun. That's the best thing in the world.